Welcome, Children of the Night, back to the Infernal Archive. On this episode of our... I really gotta figure out this fucking fog
machine. We gotta recalibrate the bong.
On this episode of the Infernal Archive, we are watching Don't Look... Fucking webs on me. Don't Look Now. From 1973. And as always, I'll read the little Wikipedia blurb for you. Don't Look Now is a 1973 English language thriller film directed by Nicholas Roeg, adapted from the 1971 short story by Daphne du Maurier, Julie Christie, and Donald Sutherland. I fucking love Donald Sutherland. That's exciting.
I'm sorry. I know you like him.
Like him? I fucking love him.
Portray Laura and John Baxter, a married couple who travel to Venice following the recent accidental death of their daughter. After John accepts a commission to restore a church, they encounter two sisters, one of them whom claims to be clairvoyant and informs them that their daughter is trying to contact them and warn them of danger. John at first dismisses their claims, but starts to experience mysterious sightings himself. This movie has very good reviews on critical good reviews. I think it's like 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, the critical score, and then I think it's in like the mid 70s for the audience score. So I'm excited to see how that translates. Apparently there's a really controversial sex scene in the film. I was reading a little bit about that, not too much, but that's something we can look
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
forward to joining the zeitgeist, the 1973 zeitgeist. We're gonna be like, this is disgusting. Pull this film from the shelves.
It's the 70s. She probably just chose her ankle or something.
it's like so uncontroversial. It's like the first.
By today's standards, have you seen fucking Euphoria?
It's like the first
Holy shit.
topless sex scene. And that's like, it's like, oh my fucking goodness, this is so good.
Or are you Brad in the late mid 90s watching softcore pornography?
We've been on a break. We're a little silly. Okay. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're going to watch the movie, and then we will come back and give you our thoughts in a little bit.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Welcome back, Children of the Night. We have finished watching Don't Look Now from 1973. And what a fucking dumb waste of time movie.
And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
We should have taken the cue from the title, and we should have just not watched it.
Not looked. That's funny.
Just not looked, not watched it. Skipped over that one.
Yeah. It was a unbelievably unintriguing, meandering plot. The film begins. I think I read it in the Wikipedia blurb. Donald Sutherland has two children. They're out in their beautiful, like England countryside home, and his daughter's playing outside and his son's playing outside, and he's like a guy who fixes up old churches. Like he fixes stained glass windows and like statues, and like he refurbishes old churches, I guess. Anyways, he's working on that in his house, and then this slide he's looking at or whatever, some wax falls on it, some red wax, and it's a photograph, and on the photograph is this little red coat. And the red wax goes on the red coat, and then he's like, oh no, and he has this moment of like, the red coat makes him think of his daughter's red coat, so he runs outside, and by the time he gets outside, he's disturbed to find that his daughter has drowned in their pond for seemingly no reason. She just couldn't swim, I guess, and I guess they say you can drown in like 3 inches of water or whatever. And then we cut to Donald Sutherland and his wife are in Italy some months later, I guess.
We don't know how much time. We just know that it's after.
Sometime the son looks similar age, so like probably max a year, probably.
Yeah. They're there. They're in Venice. They're living their best lives. They don't seem to be at all affected by the death of their daughter. They're just kind of living their lives.
Mm. Oh, she passed away. Oh. All right.
They go to dinner. They have the weird encounter with the blind medium lady who's weird and creepy.
Yep.
And then they go back to their hotel room or flat or whatever. There's a very long, awkward sex scene. Mm-hmm. Lots of nipple sucking. An egregious amount of nipple sucking, I will say, in this film.
I'd love to see how long does the average movie sex scene last? Number, like is it 20 seconds? Is it 30 seconds? Like whatever it is.
Significantly less than this one.
This was egregiously long. I want you to just like at home, grab your phone, put a timer on for 4.5 minutes, and just picture you're sitting there watching two people bite each other's nipples and smell each other's armpit hair and like hump in various positions. And like just think about how just weird. And also a flute is playing, like a jazzy flute kinda, but a weird like 70s jazzy flute that doesn't work in a modern context.
And it's not sexy at all.
No, yeah, the flute's not sexy. And it's Donald Sutherland, who I love Donald Sutherland, but he's like a curly-headed mustache.
He's a mustachioed fuck is who he is.
His look has kind of gone the way of the dodo. We don't have a lot of guys looking like that anymore. Pretty hairy. Just too long. Had nothing to do with the plot of the film. We get it. They're married. Married people have sex. I don't think you need to show 4.5 minutes of this for me to like, oh, I buy it. They're definitely married because they were fucking. I get it. I don't need it. And maybe it would have been fine and not as egregious if anything would have happened in the rest of this movie. But then we proceed to spend the rest of the film just watching Donald Sutherland and his wife kind of do stuff. Just like go to a restaurant, have a shower, walk down the canal.
Hey, he almost gets in accidents a couple times, almost.
At one point, Donald Sutherland's on some scaffolding that's really precarious. And it's clear, like, I don't know what the safety standards were back then, or if the safety standards in Italy are any better. Holy fuck, there's 2 scenes when Donald Sutherland's on scaffolding fixing church shit. And it is like, there is no world where this is up to code or whatever. I don't know if they had codes in 73, but no good. Get fucking a guy holding your ladder. No good. Anyways, and then the scene actually when he's on the scaffolding and he like kind of almost falls is so weird too. And it was kind of reminiscent of the sex scene because it was like way too long.
Oh, he's like hanging on this rope for like, I don't know, several minutes, and everyone's just standing around like, whoa.
And there's a guy. There's a
guy below him, like ready to catch him.
And there's
like,
this guy with a big pipe.
Yeah.
Who like, because he's just hanging and they're trying to like get him to like, I don't know, like grab him. So this guy with a pipe starts like shoving him with this pipe. And he just starts swinging back and forth.
He's just back and forth. And none of them are doing anything. They're all just standing around like, like, do we grab it?
And they like it's a film from the 70s, so there's quite a few scenes where they're using ADR and not like great ADR. But in this scene, it's like it's just clearly Donald Sutherland going like, oh, in a vocal booth that they just took that audio and stuck it in the scene. It was just like so like.
And it was so long and like, why?
It's like, I don't know, the voice director was like, Donald Sutherland, pretend like you're falling. It's so unconvincing. It was so weird. It was so long.
Terrible.
Had nothing to do with anything as well. It was a fake out too. Because like you said, Andrew mentioned this before, but what happens is, so they're in Italy, they run into this medium who's blind, like a woman who speaks to the dead, and she says to them, I see your daughter, she's with you, she's sitting with you at the table, and she's laughing, she's happy.
She says, also, I don't know what this is with this film, and dragging things on, hammering a point, like, well past necessary.
Yeah.
This medium says, she's laughing, she's beside you and she's laughing like 10 fucking times
in like 3 scenes.
Yeah, she's laughing,
like, we get it that she's laughing.
Holy
Shut up.
Fuck,
you're blind, stop saying I like we're making it sound as if this film had a plot that kind of like tied in narratively. It's an hour and 50 minutes and that's kind of all that happens. Kid dies. They go to the restaurant, they run into this medium, the medium says that their daughter is laughing and is with them.
Laughing.
And then we just watch Donald Sutherland and his wife do stuff for like an hour. And then at one point a priest says something about a murder that is just, it's like an offhand comment that's like, it's not part of the plot.
Well over halfway through the film.
Way.
They see a body being taken out of the canals and he's like, I wonder if it's one of those serious murders that are happening.
Yeah.
Like right around this time.
That's it, quick like that. Like, the sex scene was far longer than that scene, which ended up being very relevant to the whole scenario. That's the thing. They spent 4.5 minutes on this fucking sex scene that had nothing to do with anything, and they spent about 20 seconds on this piece of exposition that ended up being like what the whole movie actually was about, which is ridiculous. So anyways, we watched Donald Sutherland and his wife do shit. The wife goes back to England for a bit. She comes back, doesn't matter. And then Donald Sutherland sees this little figure in a red coat at the end. I'm just gonna spoil the ending because I can't. I just don't have any. It's stupid. It's just like nothing. He sees this little person with a red coat on. He's like, hey, there's a red coat. My daughter was wearing a red coat when she died. So he like chases her, follows her into this big abandoned building, follows her up into fucking the attic or whatever. And then he's like, hey, don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. And then turns around and it's this weird little witchy looking small woman.
Weird old woman, but tiny person face.
Yeah. And then she fucking hacks at him in the side of his neck.
Yeah, expressionlessly, and very bad effects work, even for the 70s. Hacks into his neck and then he bleeds. And then, worst part of this movie, we have to fucking relive a goddamn sequence of all these events as he's laying there dying. It's like another 3-minute recap.
His life flashes
flashing
back
before his eyes.
And then we got to see the sex scene again. Well, very briefly this time.
But we do see it.
We have to see it again. And then Donald Sutherland's dead, and then there's a funeral, and it was just
to quote from the New Yorker, because I feel like this whatever. It's bullshit, but it's hilarious. The film has an itchy grasp on the uncanny, much like other breakthrough thrillers of its day, among them Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist, but neither of those movies boasts a 4.5-minute sex scene so jarringly real looking that it was rumored to be unsimulated.
Well, yeah, we were kind of joking that it's like we don't think that there was a script written. We think that the filmmaker just followed Donald Sutherland and his wife to Venice and just filmed them doing stuff, and then it was like,
because in addition to the sex scene, there's like another 2-minute scene where it's like they're both in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Naked. It's like, why do they need to be naked in the bathroom for the scene?
Chatting. Like,
yeah.
It just, I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that kind of stuff doesn't have a place in a film where it's like you're trying to establish a sense of realism before you're like, whatever you're doing, you're using it to make a point or you're using it strategically. This film didn't do that. We just watched Donald Sutherland do stuff. Why? I love Donald Sutherland. This answers the question, could I just watch a film where it just follows Donald Sutherland walking around his house? No, I can't. I'm not super interested in what Donald Sutherland does just hanging out. Maybe it would be more interesting than this film.
If it was actually what Donald Sutherland did and not this character, maybe.
At least then it's like, oh, interesting. That's the kind of milk that Donald Sutherland buys. I never knew that. But like, this film was it was the definition of meandering. I don't even want to say it had a plot. I don't want to say it was a meandering plot because the film didn't really have a plot. It was just a meandering series of events, and then Donald Sutherland gets fucking shanked at the end.
Now stand back. I gotta practice my stabbing. No, please, help! Stop it, please!
The end. That's the movie. Yay, we fucking.
The fact that somebody said one of the definitive mystery chillers of all time, poignant, beautiful, and devastating. Empire, I'm gonna have to go ahead and disagree.
Can you look up the exact Rotten Tomato score? Because I want to say critically it got like a 93% or something, and then the audience gave it like a 70 something.
Rotten Tomatoes 93% tomato meter and 76% audience score.
You're all wrong. This movie was boring and trash, and it wasn't even good for the 70s. There's other horror films that came out in the 70s that are fantastic and engaging. And this isn't even a horror movie. Nothing scary happened. There's no tension in this fucking film.
It's not even a thriller.
Yeah, no, it's not even, that's the thing. I think on the Wikipedia, it's a thriller. Not even a thriller. Nothing. I was so bored. I was bored out of my skull. I didn't care about anything that happened.
Worst one of the bunch. I
think so. I actually think this movie, because it was so.
It would be hard for one of these next 4 films to be worse.
Well, this is an art house film, so that I wanted to include one like just straight art house. So that one we might not like, but at least that's what it was going for.
The thing is, I was gonna say, even though I might really not care for art house films, at least I know what I'm getting into with that one, and can mentally prepare myself.
Look up a list of horror movies that came out in the 70s. And not best, just look up a list of horror movies that came out in the 70s. Throw a fucking dart at the wall. That movie will be better than this movie. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. This movie was boring as fuck. Now, Andrew.
Yes.
We've complained enough. Fuck. Don't Look Now? Why is it called Don't Look Now?
It's a precognition of how you shouldn't fucking skip this movie. Don't look at it. Don't watch it.
It should be called Don't Watch.
Don't watch now.
Yeah. We have our the unholy wheel. Andrew, would you please do the
Yes,
honors and spin it for us?
Let's not get the art house one. Let's have a break.
Do you want to? Would you rather end on the art house one though?
I don't know. I need one.
Just
break.
a movie. Just a movie.
Just a
Like
movie.
an actual movie. And what is up next?
Which one of these is the art house?
We've only got 4 films left.
Oh.
Ooh.
Them.
On the next episode of the Infernal Archive, we will be watching the film Them from 2006. Thank you so much for watching the episode. Do not watch Don't Look Now. It's a waste of your time. And we will catch you on the next episode.